Don't know if you can hear the wind rustling in the leaves. It sounds incredible. And I am out actually collecting leaves here in the forest near my home for a new process that I have not tried before, and that is eco-printing. Hi, this is Margaret Byrd, and welcome to Color Quest. Now, last week I was in the California coastal area and I had collected some eucalyptus leaves, and I brought those with me into my studio, and I'm now going to collect some leaves from my local forest. I'm looking for some particular leaves that I know are high in tannin. And I'm going to go through the eco-printing process where I'm looking for tannin-rich leaves like the eucalyptus leaf, and I'm going to be adding them into a dye pot with a chemical reaction with iron. I'm going to do that with a rusty tin can. So join me as we look at how we can do a little chemistry in our dye pot and create some beautiful eco prints using the combination of tannins and iron. Now, first things first, rusty tin can. I don't know if canned foods these days actually have tin in them, but if you take or save a can after you've used the food, you can create a rusty can with a very simple process. It does take some time, a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of time, and a lot of weather, and you will have yourself some rusty cans. So let's check out how to do that. Yes, those cans were out for about a month or more. However, you can speed that process up with adding some ammonia to the mix. I'm not going to show you how to do that. You can do some Googling for that. I personally didn't want to try it, so I thought I have some time and I'm in no rush, so I'll just make my own rusty cans. So what are some tannin-rich, let's say, staple eco-print leaves? Well, eucalyptus is one, but local here, I can look for things like maple, oak, birch, and even rose leaves can provide a great eco-print option. So I'm here looking to see if I can find some of those locally. I know that my forest here is filled with maple. Birch is around. I have to look a little harder for it. And I'm going to be clipping some rose leaves from my garden. So one leaf that I really like is the Japanese maple. So I'm going to be collecting silver maple, maybe some vine maple, but I'm also going to go and get some Japanese maple. And as you know, those leaves are red, so they actually produce a slightly different print in an eco print situation when they are mixing with the iron or the rust of the tin can. It is early summer here, it's June, and so the leaves that I'm collecting are going to actually be from the tree. I'm going to look for very full trees, and I'm also going to look, if I can, to find leaves that have fallen to the ground. That's ideal. Now, you can wait until you have a windstorm. You might be able to find fresher leaves on the ground. However, the longer you wait throughout the summer, the tannin can increase across the season, and therefore it's also a great idea to try doing this process at different times of the year, because you will probably get a different result if you collect recently fallen leaves in the autumn, for example. So, as with everything, curiosity and experimentation is always your best friend. So try it out, see what you get, and I think you're going to be surprised. Japanese maple are planted everywhere here in my area, and they make wonderful dye on their own. I actually have a video here on the channel about the process of using Japanese maple as a dye, as well as doing an iron shift. So if you haven't checked that out, there's a link above here to watch that video. Definitely collect them in the fall, but right now we'll be looking at these leaves for their eco printing quality. I have one red rose in my yard, so I'm also going to collect a few of these. I've got some leaves down here that aren't as happy, so I'm going to take from those. I'm also going to look on the ground and see what has fallen and try to pull from there too. Ornamental Japanese maple is everywhere in my neighborhood, so I'm also going to take these because they have such a beautiful and different shape to their leaves. You're going to make a nice addition to the eco print. And one design suggestion is to collect different sizes and shapes of leaves. The more diversity you have in the shapes and sizes, the more interesting the design will be. So think about that when you're collecting. Look for larger and smaller pieces, as well as leaves that have different shapes. I do want to share that eco printing, although the idea is easy, it doesn't always work, or it can be frustrating in the beginning because you'll follow all the instructions and you'll get a less than beautiful result. So my advice to you is keep trying, practice, just like anything. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. You're going to understand what's happening and see what works and what doesn't work the more times you try it. And one last thing, today I have decided to show you on paper, and watercolor paper is very forgiving. So if you're just starting off, I strongly recommend that you look at paper for your eco print. and not to add too many options, I am going to be using some other tannin-rich materials that I know will produce color. I'm going to use onion skin, both red and yellow. I'm just going to put them in, scatter them about with the leaves so they will add their own little splash of color that will be different than what the leaves bring. Get a little creative and look into what some other things that we've looked at here on Color Quest that may be able to be added into your eco print that are tannin rich, that could provide little pops of fun surprise color in your eco print. Quick tip for you. One thing that's incredibly important when you're doing an eco die print with a bundle like we're doing here is that you need to tie your bundling string really, really tight. That is super important in making sure that there's a tight contact between the paper, the leaves, and the can. And that's going to allow there to be a better print. So tie that string tight. You will notice that the more times you use your rusty can in the process, the darker it will become. It will become black actually, and that is the iron interacting with the tannins. So remember that don't try it just one time, keep trying it, because you will definitely get a different result. And you'll see in this video how I'm using both a recently rusted can as well as one that has already gone through the process. And they do bring about a different result. Another thing you can choose to do is to use iron water. That is another process that you can do to create the same tannin iron reaction that can form beautiful eco prints. That would be taking the leaves, tannin rich leaves, adding them to iron water or letting them soak in iron water for a little while. Then you can really use any type of structure to wrap around. It doesn't have to be a can. It can be a glass jar, it can be a PVC pipe, it can be a branch actually. So that is another way that you can bring iron into your ecoprint. And I have an example of that just so you can see it, but I'm trying to keep it relatively simple. I know that if you do not want to wait, you're still gonna have to make iron water. So I do have a video about how to do that. It also takes time, a couple weeks, some nails and some water, and you can get your iron water. But it is another way that you can create an ecoprint with that tannin iron chemical reaction that will guarantee you some form of a beautiful ecoprint. So how about that for a new process to try out? What do you think? I will tell you that I actually really love it. I did not get there on the first try. I had to test it several times and fix things or think a little bit more about what I was doing. So again, don't be afraid to try it again. You may get a great print on the first round, or it may take you a few. That's why using paper tends to be a great place to start. Now, you obviously can eco print on textile. If you do and you're trying this out, protein fibers like silk in particular are very welcoming to an eco print. And make sure that you are using a mordant. Mordant is always going to help out. So the iron does act as a mordant in this process, but I would recommend pre-treating your silk with an alum and cream of tartar treatment. Now, I have a video here that shows how to pre-treat fibers with alum, so that might be something worthwhile watching. So I personally really love the black outline effect that comes from this particular process. You might not like that. There are certainly some processes that create almost like a photograph print. That's not this one. So keep that in mind. I also really like a more abstract result. That's just what I prefer in my own art practice. So for me, the result here that had a more sort of suggestion of leaves and ghost prints and so forth was a result that I really loved. I also loved that it had a combination of print and outline, little pops of color, black, white space, and that the onion skin even produced a color in the dye pot that sort of colored the background a beautiful neutral color. So many different factors can make a difference. And wasn't it interesting that by adding iron into the mix, by doing an iron soak with the leaves, produced a completely different result? And although I didn't really like the result of the iron and the glass in the third example that I showed you, I just wanted to throw that out as a potential for something else and to show you that this is about a tannin iron reaction. So go out there and get creative about what you might blend together between tannin and iron to create something special in your eco print. There's lots of different processes, and all of them will bring you about some beautiful result. May not be what you expect, but I actually find the best things come from surprises. So next time on Color Quest, I'm going to bring you back here into my local forest, my neighborhood forest. And we're going to be looking at a plant that grows here, and that is nettles. However, I'm going to be showing you how the process doesn't always turn out the way that you hope. And I'll walk you through the trials and tribulations that I have faced in trying to produce color from nettles. Not only is it stinging to the touch, it was a little stinging to my soul. But I hope you'll join me next week as we continue our celebration of all things natural color. Thanks for joining me here at Color Quest. New content every Friday, and if you're interested in subscribing, hey, I'd love that. Have a great week. See you next Friday.